All right, welcome to another Bragging Rights. This week, this is 1 week of hobby progress. Not quite all focused on World War II, but almost. So I'm going to start out talking about some terrain pieces I put together. This is all from scrap, really, that I already had lying around. I repurposed some Kings of War bases that I have no intention of using anytime soon. Some foam, some cork that came with furniture, coffee stirrers, some small plaster bricks, and then just basing material that I had. These are going to form some of the basis of my Ruins of Budapest, as I've been working my way with a friend through the Fortress Budapest campaign book for bolt action. So to put these together, many of you might be able to imagine, but I used some hot glue to put in place the cork against the MDF, hot glued in wood and bits and other pieces of cork, and I used some straws as old pipes. I've got like a bent one over on this side. Coffee stirrers also as support where needed. And then I sprayed it black, sprayed it gray, then dry brushed it twice with lighter shades of gray, put on some of the Vallejo basing gel to give it some texture, although I really could have, if I wanted to be a little more cost effective, I could have just used glue and sand, but I wanted to save a little time, and I have some of the basing pumice that I don't use for too many projects, so I figured it was no bother to use it here. Some of the bricks went down before the priming, representing kind of gray bricks and cement and concrete that be used, and then others were put on afterwards to help match with the basing style of the Budapest Army. I also printed out some signs as well as posters. I just did some Google image searches for Budapest 1944 posters. These are some of the things that came out. Some of them are certainly different years. I can't tell what any of them say, but they, some of them are most certainly advertisements for the war. As you can see, flags of Hungary, Italy, and Germany flying in some of them. So in the game, these are going to be ruins, which I believe will be hardcover, dense, although I'm really a little unsure of how ruins are meant to be best played in bolt action. If you know, or if your group has a way of using ruins that really works well for you, let me know. Oh, I also used one of my favorite tricks. I used the old Warhammer basing materials that I had left over from the good old days, and I just cut it up with some tin snips and put it down and put down a checkerboard pattern. It's just a nice little way to kind of break up the monotony of the gray and brown. And let me cover up a little blemish there with the grass tuff. Oh, look at that, looks much better. Okay, so I'm going to move on from these. I also, as part of this same project, I've done groups of rubble bases. And these rubble bases, I was thinking, I thought I have a bunch of, ruin building, Gothic ruins, types of things like that. And in all of those kits, it's like a couple of walls that are standing, but then in the middle, you're just left with your tabletop. And I thought that these rubble piles would be good to join up to those ruined walls to show like a collapsed building. And here they are. They can also be out in the street as well, or against street corners, which is why I put in the sewer grates on some of these. So same basic idea of I used cork layered up, and then a lot of other spare bits that I had. Put on more road signs here to be climbed over, posters like before, and Rubble has a unique set of rules, which is pretty cool. Rubble rules in bolt action actually give different cover bonuses based on the order you are given. So I really like that interaction with the type of order giving you more or less protection. And then for tanks, it really limits their movement. It's almost like a minefield for tanks. in the way it works. Okay, some more World War II action. Here's a Hungarian bomber, and then I have 6 Hungarian fighters. These are to be paired against the Soviet yaks that I painted before. These are German 109s in Hungarian service. I left the German colors and just put on the Hungarian decals. And I was hoping to get in Hungarian flag colors onto the tails of these, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. I tried one of the decals and it just didn't quite fit right. So I didn't end up using it, just peeled it off. But I will maybe get to that eventually. We'll see how many games of this I play. I don't want to put in too much time or money into the game until I decide that I'm going to actually get out and play it, which I haven't done yet. I've read the rule book, seems pretty cool. If you play these rules, let me know what you think. All right. Oh, and how did I paint those? With minimal effort. I put down a gray sear base coat, spray base coat, and then I use contrast paint, basilicum gray, and contrast paint, I think it's a Landon yellow, to those 2 colors, dry brushed over, highlighted, and I was done. I put some decals on the Turn on 3 that I showed off last time. I don't really love the decals. They're okay, I guess. I haven't scraped them off yet, but I'm not really digging them. So the best waterside transfers I ever used are from Relic Miniatures. By far the best. I didn't realize how good they were. I'd been spoiled by Little Big Men, which aren't transfers, and they lack some of the great properties that transfers have, but they're one of the things they had going for them is they're incredibly easy and foolproof. Relic's a little harder, but such high quality. These were really hard to use. The Warlord ones were even harder. These are not high quality though. These are from Company B, and if I had to do 100 tanks, I think maybe I'd use these slides again, but they just don't, there's something about them, they just don't look right to me. But, you know, oh well, I might get used to them. I also bought some Warlord transfers to try out on some Soviet vehicles. I also painted these Soviet vehicles this week. And the Warlord transfers I really like the look of, but they were a little difficult to work with at first until I got the hang of it. They are the types of decals that definitely want to fold in on themselves. You can't use your hands for this procedure at all, whereas I've found that with Relic, you can actually use your hands for a lot of what you do. So these are, I'm going to show us some tanks, and then this as well. These are 3D prints that a friend of mine did. Didn't do a stellar job with it. This is very sticky on the bottom. You see how shiny it is. The paint has like come right off of it. Hopefully that's just going to happen on the bottom and the rest of the miniature will be safe. We'll see. These back wheels have cracked open. Real shame to waste my time on a paint job on something that's going to slowly eat itself away, but hopefully if I get some protector on here, it will slow the decay. This is a 3D print that I bought on 3D Wargaming site, and I believe this is Dewey Cat. And this truck is going to be sometimes fielded like this with a MMG, pintle mounted MMG, but I also am going to have printed out a quad MMG to use as, I forget what they're called, but they're an anti-aircraft truck that has a full 20 shots. For a very, very cheap price. It's startlingly cheap. So that'll be pretty fun. And I did 3 of these guys. Probably get them all same shot. Pretty easy painting techniques, but overall, I'm pleased. The level of effort I put in was not all that high. I think in the future I'd like to put a little more effort into tanks. But this is my first time trying to paint World War II tanks, you know, these last couple of months. So these are T-34s, 3D prints from a guy I found online who does a full line of T-34-85s in Soviet versions, as well as T-34s in Finnish service. and it's really great model. I really like it. I've done some of the weathering here, and you can see I did this with a sponge. I just took a sponge into some really dark brown and dabbed it on in different places. This has a overall green wash across an army green, army painter spray background. And then I dry brushed it with, I believe it's scaly hide that complements army green rather well. I've got Warlord decals on here, and the decals are set differently on each tank. So that I can differentiate them in game. In Tank War, you keep it a secret which tank's your command tank. So they're each numbered, and I've got my decal configurations just a little bit different to help me recognize without having to turn the tank each time and give away where I think my leader is. I do plan to weather these a little more, but I don't have any experience, and I am a little afraid to ruin the models, but I'm thinking of putting mud in all of the tracks, having some exhaust smoke back here, and then putting in rust in all different sorts of places. I'd like to do some streaking as well. I have this product here actually, well, there goes a tank. I have this product here which I tried out, and then I realized I couldn't really use it at the time because I didn't have any spirit. I went and bought some, so I'm going to give it another try and kind of follow the instructions, see what we can do. Don't worry, tank survived just being dropped, luckily. That's about it for the painting this week, other than one more item. And this one was fun. I was playing this in my head for quite a while after seeing this movie again. Kind of awful movie, kind of awesome movie. But this is the Black Pearl from Pirates of the Caribbean. So this is a India merchantman ship made by Warlord Games. And man, Warlord has got these are just the greatest resin miniatures. I really love these ships. And I did a new basing technique for me. I put down a layer of, let me see if I figured out. I put down a layer of Ice Storm on MDF, and then I put in 2 successive layers of AK Atlantic Blue water effects. One after the other. I didn't wait for a complete cure before putting on the second. Maybe I should have. I waited about 4 hours under a fan, but it came out pretty well. And then I just added a little foam. I cut up the sails, obviously, just give it a little bit of a tattered look and hit it with a wash. This was a low effort ship, but I'm pleased with the results. This is one of those games where I am not going for any sort of best painted award. I'm just trying to get full forces on the table so I can try out some of these side games. I've got a philosophy of, stretching myself for tournament games where I have armies where the paint scores really matter, and I do enjoy stretching myself there, like with my Ancients or with my Bolt Action. But for these side games, I just want to have fun, and I want to make sure that stuff looks up to my standards of, hey, this is good for my table, and this fits the bill. All right, well, thank you very much, and have a great week.